Welcome to the podcast.
Welcome to the podcast.
Good job.
Awesome.
So today on the podcast, we have Dave Barnes. Check it out, guys.
Yeah.
Here he is in the flesh. And you started a podcast,
I did.
and you have very famous people on it.
No, I didn't know they were. I thought they were friends, and then in the interview, it turns out they're really famous.
That's how we feel about you. We're like, I'm not
I
really
just like
joking.
to say, I've had 3 cups of coffee and no food just so I can be kind of on the same
There's
level.
just a slight hum. There's just you're at A440, just bodily. There's just a frequency your body is giving.
When you're a parent,
It's
though,
A440 times 3.
Yeah, touche.
I'm at like 13.
Yeah.
Whatever it is.
Yeah.
So we met you having popsicles
Yes.
after not seeing you for
Long time.
4 years?
Yeah.
5 years?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's 5 years.
Kids unite us. That's what ends up happening.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Kids too. Like they change. Like they just set these new grooves.
Yeah. It's so true.
And it's like all of a sudden your life looked, for so long looked one way, and then you have kids, and all of a sudden you do this like 90-degree turn.
Yeah.
All these new people are your friends, and
and you can't know till you're there.
no.
Do you have 3?
People that you didn't even know that you liked.
Oh, I know. It's like unearthing all these.
You're so different as a parent.
Oh yeah.
We can get along now.
Yeah. Suddenly you chilled out a lot, and
That's
sadly
true.
the opposite.
Yeah,
That's the bummer.
Do you feel like it brings
huge
out
bummer.
the hidden things because you're too tired to fake it, so you're just more really you?
Yeah.
Or
I don't know.
really
I mean,
How did
you?
you how many syllables did you put into really there?
Babe, that's the South.
You've assimilated.
That's
You've
the
assimilated. I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
Nashville is finally.
We all
taking
going to
its
the hotel?
Hotel.
I didn't know that was a 3-syllable word.
Hotel.
Hotel.
Wait, you're making
Which sounds
fun
like
of...
an old Native American land. Hotel.
Hotel.
Welcome to hotel.
I mean...
South Hotel.
Yes. It's in North Dakota, oddly enough. So we frequent,
yeah.
the Popsicle. We live like right around there, so we're there.
I'm jealous.
Yeah.
We're there weekly, but we drive there.
Yeah.
You live close.
Yeah, we could, if I had a really good arm, I could halfway get a baseball there.
So we write, the first time, nobody knows, but we wrote King of My Heart.
This is the middle of the World
Yeah.
Series that we're doing this, so that's why.
Yeah. Yeah.
Go Dodgers.
I feel like if it was the two of you guys, it'd be like sports and...
There'd be no content. It would just be like, ding, ding, ding.
We'd just be talking about Monty
I'm like-
Python the whole time.
Yeah, that's right.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
By the way, my wife is she's never less amused than that. Like,
Really?
you can watch her just like the eyes start to roll. She starts to leave. I'm like, hey, you ever? And she's like, oh.
Like she's still there, but
she's
herself
vacated.
is
Yeah,
gone.
her spirit. Yeah, she's.
So she doesn't think you're funny?
She, Annie thinks I'm funny, but not in any of the ways anybody else does.
Gotcha.
She's not amused with me. Like, she's not.
As a wife, I kind of get it.
Oh, yeah.
Kinda
I don't need her to be. That would be the
Okay.
end of me. Like, my
Yeah.
ego and insecurity would just expand
Yeah.
to too much. Like, the Lord would be like, he has to die. This
Yeah.
is too much. Like, just
Not
a
funny
hand.
anymore.
Yeah, just.
It's like the kids in the hall, right? It's like, crush you.
Yeah, that's it. He'd
Crush
just be
you.
like, you're done and welcome. Do you see what was happening? And I'd be like, oh my God. He's like, that's why you're here.
So you're funny, but you don't live for applause?
I mean, I would be lying if I didn't say that I didn't live for applause. I do think, one of the things that's really weird about the way that something I've found out about myself, because I've done these stand-up shows now,
Which I really want to hear all about.
Yeah, well, we should get together. But one of the things that's really weird about me, and I don't think it's like a humility. I think it's more of I just didn't think about myself that way.
Sure.
But so, I feel like I've always been like funny, and like my friends and I like to laugh and
Yeah.
stuff, but I never, ever was like, I'm like really like funny with a capital.
Like
F.
I'm gonna do a tour.
Yes, never
and
thought
be
that.
funny on stage.
Ever. And then probably, I think
Wow.
as I started doing shows, 15, 20 years ago, it became it honestly was the way that I calmed myself on stage because music was so new to me.
I get that.
That I was like, that was my way to sort of get the horse settled back down.
Sure.
You know? And then it was like, okay, and then we'd start to gallop, and then it was like, okay, you know.
That's such a good way to. That is such a good way to put it.
So banter became.
You know, a click helps with that though. It keeps you on the same.
Like as you're telling jokes, you keep the clip going through everything.
But yeah, it.
With a little laugh track in the background.
Oh my god, that'd be the worst thing for me in the world. That'd
funny.
be another like, guys, just and you're done. But so anyway, long story short, I started doing shows, and so many people would say like, "Oh, it's so funny," but I think I just thought, "Cool." Like I never ever internalized.
Sure.
It. Ever. And then sort of like the longer I did it, the more, truthfully, last year, this is no lie, I had a woman say something to me that really changed how I thought about it. Because I think, literally, even last year, I thought, yeah, I'm funny, but I'm, whatever. There's a lot of funny people.
Right.
Everybody's funny. Mm-hmm. I really believe that. Like, everybody's got some sense of humor, you know?
Sure.
It's just, I think those of us who are professionally funny are just we're just bolder. We're just more idiotic and going, and surely everyone thinks this is funny. You know?
And I'm going to keep going until you
laugh.
laugh.
I will just, I'm committed. It's the commitment, I think, truthfully.
Yeah.
Anyway, long story short, this woman said something to me. I can't remember who it was. I think it was a friend of ours. It just said, the show really blessed me tonight. The stand-up show. And I was like, what does that mean?
You didn't put those together.
No, I was like, that's like saying a baseball game blessed you, or like that dunk was such a blessing.
Right.
You know what I mean? Right. Like didn't equate them, and I was like, "What do you mean?"
I would love to see that interview where someone goes up to LeBron and is like, "Thank you for your ministry."
You're that alley-oop was took me to that feeling.
That spoke to my soul.
Yeah, the Holy Spirit. And I just remember thinking, what does that mean? She said, "We just had like the worst week, and being able to come to the show." Like our spirits like lifted,
and it took her out of
all that
sadness.
stuff, and it was like this like I felt like I like grabbed onto an electric fence for a couple seconds because I was like, it can do that, and so I mean this is I'm 40. This was like 9 years into my life.
Doesn't that always shock you how long it sometimes takes to be like, I just maybe found my thing? And
and I think too realizing what a gift it is. For other people,
like
it sounds weird, but
not
realizing that humor has this way, like music does. Because I always knew music did that, because it did to me.
Sure.
But I'd just never gone, wow, being funny does the same thing, maybe more.
Yeah, you hadn't attached a value to that.
At all.
Yeah.
That's a perfect way to say it.
I don't think it's a coincidence that when you pull up Netflix, like the first things you see now,
so true.
It's like comedy everywhere. And stand-up comedy, like not just comedy movies, but like it's like a new stand-up every week. So anyway, I think that has changed a lot how I feel about it, which is giving it a new motivation to do.
Absolutely. Because until you find the real motivation and purpose behind it, you're kind of like, why am I? You're just searching for it a bit. Like, I heard Jay-Z on, have you listened to Oprah's Masterclass podcast?
No.
So it's really interesting format because she doesn't ask questions. I'm sure she has behind the scene, but it's just that person using their life as a class and just literally talking about their life for 40 minutes. And Jay-Z says that. He's like, I didn't equate value to what I do as a rapper, as an MC, as a musician, because it was just a gift. It was so natural to me that I didn't stop to think anyone would want anything to do with it. It was just what I did.
That, I think, and without, this is where I feel like I have to be careful, because anytime you start talking about, one of the gifts that I have. Both hands. but I think, truthfully, that resonates with me, the humble part of it, because I just didn't.
Sure.
I had no way to qualify it, because I'd always been the person that was making people laugh or doing the skit or doing like a little improv thing. So I just never had a grid. It was like, this is always who I've been. And I've always had friends that laughed. So there was, with me, not, it was, I never felt like it was like, but it was like, hey, we all just have a good time. And then I think exactly that. Like I suddenly realized like, oh, there's like all this intrinsic value to this that I've just never been aware of. Ever.
So now are your shows both?
So the shows that we did this year were stand up for 45 minutes, or I'm sorry, music for 45 minutes, a 15-minute intermission, then 50 minutes of stand up.
That's cool.
And then
I don't know anyone else doing that.
Yeah, no. We kind of realized that too. I was like, I think this is sort of a...
That's interesting. You're kind of warming up for yourself.
We laughed. My manager was like, "You're kind of opening for yourself."
Because he's the opener, Dave Barnes.
But you know what's funny, and this is something you just would I didn't think of until we started putting it together, is the way that each of those things affect you is so different. Music is so much more passive. So you can sit at a show for 2 hours
and
you
don't
not
have
be too
to
fatigued.
Yeah.
You know, and feel like that was fun. 2 hours is a long time, but you can get through it and be okay. Like go home and maybe still have some things to do and do it. Humor is the opposite. It's
like you mean
so
for you
interactive.
Personally,
no, the crowd.
For the crowd.
So you can, as just a crowd person. You see a music show, it's like 2 hours is great. You're ready to leave by 2 hours, but it's not.
You could sit. You can
clap, you can
whatever.
catch up with your friends, go get drinks or whatever. Just chocolate milk. And and I think stand up is not like that. That's why it's so rare. I realized this when I was putting the show together. You really don't see a lot of, other than the legends, do more than about an hour. Because you as a crowd member are worn out. Because it's so interactive. Yeah. It's so,
There's
you're
no
usually
passivity
physically kind of leaned in and you're laughing, and you're just so engaged mentally that after a while you're toast. And so when we laid the show out, I was like, we need to do music first because I don't need people by the halfway mark worn out. So and we really, my manager and I went back and forth about that a lot, because he was like, no, it needs to be, and I was like, I'm telling you,
I can see the look in people's eyes on like,
oh yeah. And so,
how about for you? Like, are you more fueled by one or the other?
I have more fun doing the stand-up. Just because
Are you more nervous about one or the other?
Stand-up for sure. I mean, that was... But I think that was the fuel. Like, it was... I love that feeling. I mean, you guys know performing. Like, when you're about to go out and you're like, here we go. How's it going to go?
Love it and hate it. You're like, why do I do this to myself?
And
I love this.
The stand-up show is so... ever changing, so I didn't know what was going to happen that night. I had the stuff, but man, this could be working. I'm like, oh, let's keep going, and then it's just, well, here it comes. Well,
and then does like one joke inform new content sometimes?
Yeah, absolutely.
Where you hit on something and you're like,
absolutely,
whoa, I didn't see that coming.
I was doing, in fact, my manager, after seeing like, we did some like shows 2 years ago where I did like 5 or 6 just stand-up shows, and he came to one of them and he's like, dude, I love this. You gotta dial it in though. Like you're just too much. You're riffing too much. Like
he didn't feel like there was
everything was a trampoline, and he was like, I love that, but why don't you? And the other thing that he said to my road manager too, who's really wise, named Seth Philpott, was out, and he was like, you need to believe this is funny. Because I think what's happening is every night you're making up new stuff, but they don't know these, so it's simpler is funny. And I was like, that's hugely profound. So that's informed a lot of it too. Is feeling like, no, just do the joke, just tell the story. You don't need to,
because you're repeating it night after night. So you probably feel this.
I'm bored by night 2. I'm like, what if I added,
but
but there would be things, and this is just the way that my brain works. I'm so in the moment that I would say something that I didn't plan on saying. So I'd be like, bum, and it'd be like huge applause. And I'd be like, okay, I got it. And so I'd go back right after the show, and I have a little thing on my iPhone. I'd be like, okay, add this, because that,
that's, and there's probably some that'll be in your like shtick forever, right?
Oh yeah.
Like,
some like,
which I think is even comforting to people maybe that have seen you before. Like, I always feel like, they've heard "King of My Heart"
oh, for sure,
a million times.
But they're like, do you know why we came?
Exactly.
For King of My Heart. Like, yeah, sorry.
Right, sorry, get into that. But you're right, people don't tire. And I don't. Like, if I go to or to see you too, for a better example. Like, you've seen them how many times? You want them to... And you want them to play
Sorry, that
it
was a rhetorical question. I realize it now.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, are you not?
I've seen them 5 times.
And you get annoyed too sometimes. It's like, I wanted to hear that song the way I grew up.
Yeah.
Like, hearing that song on the record.
That is a whole...
And specifically to that point, I think Bono is... He is guilty of that, but I think he also recognizes it's like, I need to sing this song the way I wrote it.
That's right.
Now, because for a long time he was like changing the melodies, and it's like everyone, you got 60,000 people singing along. It's like,
we don't know how to improv this new melody.
Help us out here, man.
Yeah.
Right.
That was the thing, this is a whole other thing, but I do think it's fascinating. I kind of have this theory about music careers that has to do with this, where I really believe this, that you have about 5 or 6 records, maybe 4, that are building your career.
Sure.
Right?
Yep.
So you have the songs, and I really truthfully believe that after that, 80% of the crowd don't. That, like, the new stuff, they like it, it's great. They come for those 4 records.
Yep.
That's probably true.
You go to see U2, James Taylor, Elton John, Billy Joel, Paul Simon, Fleetwood Mac. You name Stevie Wonder.
Sure.
You love Stevie's new stuff, but
and Paul McCartney even
too.
Like,
Paul
and
McCartney.
I'm a late fan.
Great.
Totally.
Great.
But you're like,
you're not going to hear that
Who
stuff.
cares?
Yeah.
Who cares?
Yeah.
So I think the thing that's really tricky about what we do, to your point, is the most mature artists, I think, have really come to grasp the fact that, yes, they're still making compelling music and their newest record is their favorite record, but one of the job quirks is that's not why they're there. Mm-hmm. They're there for the music that was probably the first chunk of your career and will forever... I heard an interview with Elton John, and he said that. I thought it was really profound. He said, I sort of realized, because he was like, it was actually with George Ezra. It's a great podcast, but George has them on, and they're friends, and he's like, so how did you continue to create music? He said, I remember the record I put out that after it was a hit, I was like, I can have a career now. Because it was like his 4th or 5th record.
Changing.
He was like, I've got enough catalog now that if it all just goes to complete crap, I can just keep playing it because there's enough hits and
that
material.
sounds like us.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel that.
Me too.
I feel that way.
Yeah, it's totally. But I do think, when you think about like performing and crowds and what they want, to your point earlier, like there is this kind of thing that I think you have to, like, as an artist, you have to sort of not die a death, because that sounds really severe, but I think you do. You have to kind of have to go.
Yeah.
Well, and if you think about yourself, and you
it's
go,
like
well,
what you
hold on,
said.
like, that's what I want. Why
and Beck said at the end of his Austin City Limits show, like, it kind of more threw it in a positive way, said, I feel like I'm just kind of looking for the second half of my set now. When I write, I'm just kind of like, I know the songs that I'm always going to play. Like, you go to see Beck, you're going to hear Loser, you're going to hear Where It's At, you're going to hear all these great songs that we all know, but he still, like, feels like, there's still something missing. And I also wanted to say that because I feel like he's one of the artists that he's still making, like, very compelling.
He may be
like,
out of
people
that
are still.
category,
I mean, just won the Grammy a couple years ago for best album. That's like 20 years after his biggest song.
I do. I wonder sometimes. I think there is something. I have all these theories about this because I've thought about it so much in my life, but I also think there's just an amount of bandwidth. No, that's not the word. There's an amount of storage space that we all have for bands. Capacity.
Sure.
That literally, you can max it out. You can get to a place with U2, Coldplay, John Mayer, Chris Tomlin, whatever, that you kind of go.
Oh, careful.
America doesn't agree with you.
No, but with any artist, at some point, for each individual, and it changed for everybody.
Yeah.
Because for some people, it may be like, no, I like whatever. But I really feel like you get to a place where you're like, I kind of got the main queue is full. Now, I can have some stuff that floats around, but if you're going to tell me you can only listen to 10 U2 songs, I got those.
Yeah.
And so I think that's the other thing about the Beck.
Like, the playlist is sort of made.
The playlist is sort of made.
Yeah.
And so I feel like what's hard is, with any of us that continue to make music, Beck included, it's not that it's not good. It could be some of the best you ever made. It's just that people have got, they know you. I know Beck. I love Beck. Have you heard the new stuff? Yeah. Or no.
Yeah.
Like, dude, I love him.
Yeah.
It's like, well, no, he won a Grammy. That's awesome, dude. Where is that dude? Was that a Mac?
Yeah.
You're like, well, and so I think
there's
these quirks, I think, about music that I think I would love to have somebody much wiser than me do like a study on just these sort of like chemical makeup of how we take in stuff like that, because I really think it would change how we think about music as we make it, because I don't think I would be so frustrated sometimes when I feel like I bump into a fan who's like, dude, I'm your biggest fan ever, we had a picture, cool. Hey, when are you playing here next? I played last night. What?
Right.
Dude, you played what? Dang, dude. Well, you still making music? Yeah, this got my 13th record just came out. Man, that's awesome. And so I'm offended.
Right.
They're like, no, I'm a fan. And I'm like, no, you're not.
Right.
And I'm like, and I'm having to realize that as I get older, like they are.
Yeah.
It's just that we are made up in these ways that like you can't always take stuff in.
And there's too much coming at you.
There's too much coming.
There's just too much. Well, even my son, I mean, if I am like, hey Milo, he's 2.5. Can you put your school bag down? We're gonna finish your lunch that you didn't finish, and then maybe let's color, and then before bed we can watch Blippi.
And then you walk away for a second. You turn around and he's just like
doing nothing, like wandering around with his airplane. It's like, oh wow, that's the same look Chris gives me. Dang. Okay, let's dial that back.
Yeah.
So let's finish your lunch.
Yeah.
And it's like, I think you're right. I think we get to a max. Like the computer turns off, it goes to sleep. Our brains do the same thing. It's like, I'm done.
And so it's not. It actually makes sense to me because I think when you think about someone's voice, when you think about their tendencies musically, you're gonna get to a place where you feel like, I know. Mm-hmm. It's great, but I've got the cache is full of your timbre, of your instrumentation, of what you have to say, of how you write choruses. Yep. And it's not that I don't like it, but thank you. I've got my little jug.
Yeah.
And I'll see you soon.
Yeah.
And like every now and then you may have something that I go, okay, this new one is cool.
It is the strangest. It is the strangest career because you're offering the world this piece of you. Mm-hmm. You're serving people. It's like not really about us, but yet you have to tap into that special next gear.
Yeah.
Like I feel like you have, because you're right. There are a lot of funny people. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of way better musicians than us. So why are we doing this?
Yeah.
Yeah. So and then like no one gets sick of a bus driver.
Can you tell me? I need to know the answer to that because I don't know. Dave.
Okay, actually, this is great. So I can't believe that when we met you, I was like, hey, Dave, nice to meet you. Like, I didn't know anything about you. Aren't you nominated for a Grammy? You were, for a song you wrote.
Did you win that Grammy?
I lost everything it was up for, which was, I call that the humility run.
The humility. But that's insane, though. Like, we didn't really know. We literally moved to Nashville, like, hit the ground running, like, just started writing and, like, didn't know what we were doing at all, but hit on King of My Heart. I mean, literally that song was, like, right number 5, maybe, of being in this town.
Yeah.
And couch hopping when we'd never done that before. And there was just a fun synergy, like, right away.
Yeah.
I think partly because you're a rock and roller and you just kind of got that, and Jeff Pardo totally gets that about Chris. So it was a really special song. That song honestly kicks off every set.
So side note, Dave Barnes co-wrote King of My Heart.
Yes.
With us and Jeff Pardo.
That is how we met you.
I'm not sure if we actually made that clear.
I don't think we did.
Yeah.
Or I was just a huge fan of it. Like I'm still like, oh my God.
That song, it's a blast. It's a blast to play, but since then I've become like a fan, legit. I just didn't know who we were sitting with.
Oh yeah.
And it's cool to meet over popsicles and kids and be like, wow, life has happened. Like a lot of life has happened. Yeah. But so take us way back. So was your dad a preacher?
Yeah, he just retired last year.
Okay, I thought I read that maybe. He just retired.
Yeah, they live here now. They were in Knoxville, and then he and Mom both retired last summer and moved to Franklin.
Is he 42?
Is that part? I was gonna say, is that part of his preaching?
It's so funny you ask that. So I have a Sunday school that I'm like in charge of at our church, and Dad. So the teacher, I don't teach it. A couple of the guys that kind of rotate couldn't do it last week, so I called it Dad, and I was like, hey, we're going through James, and I was like, hey, would you like sub in for this week? Because he's such a good preacher and teacher, and he was like, yeah, no problem. So my wife, who's known my dad a long time. Yeah. We get home and she was like, I totally get it now. And I was like, what do you mean? She goes, I mean, you are just like him in your presentation. Because Dad, when he preaches, you have to dial it in. I mean,
he could.
Teaching is very different than preaching in the church. Like, teaching is much more deep dive and, it's in the Sunday school class, or even, it's just, at least in our world, the teaching-preaching dynamic is very different.
Sure.
You can be a lot more off the cuff and fun teaching. Where preaching, you're trying to keep it a little more within the service and, you're trying to get something done. We're teaching you a little more flex. Anyway, so he was much more off the cuff, really funny, really.
And your wife hadn't really seen him.
Well, she hadn't seen that. She'd seen him preach a million times.
Yeah.
But it was just so funny. She was like, she just couldn't stop laughing. She was like, I really feel like I was like, I cracked the code.
Yeah.
So he's he's just used to be on stage.
And you grew up seeing that as an option, which is interesting.
Yeah. But a lot of my humor is my mom's family. Like they are all really kooky and fun. So
that's cool.
So he's not silly where my mom is really silly. So there's kind of I think a lot of the presentation from him, and then a lot of sort of like the humor is.
That's cool.
But they both like I grew up like Airplane, Naked Gun, Hot Shots, Zucker Brothers stuff. Some Mel Brooks stuff, but they Three Amigos like
Spaceballs was my
jam.
jam.
My gosh, that was literally because the jam. Anyway, but
I even got that, guys.
Jam. Yeah. So like I grew up realizing that like humor was like because they loved to laugh and they were always goofing off and we always had like funny movies that we were watching.
So you're from here?
No, Grammy, Mississippi.
Oh. Did not do
the
my
Manitoba
homework.
of the South.
It's because you went to college here.
Yes.
Okay, I was like.
MTSU.
So I got together with your friends yesterday and basically
so
got all these questions.
No,
it's not a joke.
Yeah.
I did that.
Oh my god.
Well, not 100%, but I went out with Marissa Pardo. It wasn't on purpose.
I've known.
And Becca, Josh and Becca. So it wasn't on purpose. I was like, tell me everything.
Intel.
I need to know the inside.
And he can talk forever. So good luck.
But I got some good stuff.
I got lots of space on the camera.
Yeah, good.
So, married your first kiss?
Mm-hmm.
Is this true?
Yeah.
That's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. She didn't care. That's the humor. Still doesn't. She's like, you are so weird.
Is she romantic or not so much?
No.
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 Okay.
I mean, she
We need to have her on.
What's
you
great?
realize this is a public conversation.
You mean my wife? She's a big acts of service person, so she is her. I don't know how to say this, but her romance,
like her love language, essentially,
is fueled through that, and that is exquisite. I mean, she threw me a surprise 40th birthday party, and it was the most amazing. Like my friends were like, "You think she'd do this for my husband?" I mean, it was. We have a cabin out in Legal Fork, and it was incredible.
You do?
Oh yeah, it was.
Envy.
So while she's not sitting there going, ooey gooey, that was overwhelming.
So that's how she shows love.
Yeah.
So you and your wife are not the same Enneagram number?
Oh, no.
Tell me what you are. I think I could guess, but I'm guessing a 7.
No guess. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Because you're just like,
as
woo!
much as I can be. Yeah.
Yeah. Everything's like fun and like okay. Yeah, you're a good hang. 7s are a great hang.
Until it gets painful and then we disappear. And then she's an 8.
She's an 8. Okay.
Yeah, so she's the enforcer or the boss.
Great. I really do need to meet this woman.
Oh, she is. She's really funny though. Like, so here's my sort of. What are y'all, by the way?
I'm a 9.
And I'm a 3.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah.
Fun fact.
There's some similar
dynamic,
yes. I guess.
So Joe will have a list of things for us to do, and I'll just go take a nap.
Can I tell you one of the hardest times I've laughed about the Enneagram, and I'm gonna start laughing. So this makes me laugh so hard. I get so giggly about this. So I was out writing. You guys know Lady Annabelle?
Yes.
So they're really good friends of mine. So Dave Haywood, who's in the band, Dave had me and one of my best friends who plays guitar for me, who writes for their publishing company named Mark Trussell. So it's me, Dave Haywood, Mark Trussell, and their road manager, a guy named Adam Boatman. They're all 9s. So we're sitting on the bus talking about this, right? I was literally crying laughing because Dave was telling the story about how he found out he was a 9. He said he was reading the list of descriptors. And he said, all of a sudden I just got so tired and I took a nap. And he said that when he got up, where he left off, the next point was, when overwhelmed with information, take naps. he said literally, so the joke for the whole weekend writing was that as things would get too quick, I'd look over and the three of them would just start to like, not all, or it got too heated. And Mark was killing me the whole weekend. He would like, he knew it would make me laugh, so I'd be like, what about all this stuff? And I'd look over and he'd be like, you know, or like I disagree. Mark, I don't think that's a good. Can you be like, you know? Anyway, but I think the thing that is so fascinating, sort of like the overview to me that I think has been really interesting in sort of Christendom about the Enneagram thing is like, you know, I probably started learning about it probably 5 or 6 years ago.
Enneagram, in a nutshell. It's like
personality,
motivation that makes you who you are.
It's like the.
This is me in a nutshell.
Hey, yeah. It's like the Myers-Briggs. I think, but I feel like a lot more plug and play and helpful.
Enneagram's helpful. Good tool.
More numbers.
Yeah.
Check it out.
Yeah, but anyway, I think the thing that's been really interesting watching it is, you know, 5 or 6 years ago when I started learning about it, and I'm really fortunate because one of my really close friends is like a master teacher on it. So he was the way that I got in and started learning about it, and so it was a pretty like baptism by fire because he was Annie and I just had our first child, and we were kind of like not getting along really well, and I was talking about it one day, and I had another friendship that was kind of going through a rough patch, and he was like, do you know about this personality thing? And I was like, no. And he's like, well, here it is. And I was just like obsessed, and immediately it helped both of those relationships. Like I learned about it, Annie learned about it, and all of a sudden our marriage just changed. So I got really motivated about it, started talking to my friends about it, so all these people, you know, started to learn about it. The thing that's really interesting about it now, and I get really careful, I laughed at my manager who's into it now last night, but we were laughing about this, but like I get nervous about it because it's becoming its own sort of cult. It's becoming sort of this like, we don't need Christianity, we need the Enneagram.
Yeah.
So I have to be careful now more than ever.
It's just a tool.
It's just
another tool.
And I love when it's in the light of the Christian faith, then we think about it, but I think it's just so effective. I think a lot of people tend to go,
God always has a way of equalizing that.
Yes, he does.
Really? Don't think so.
That's right.
But you know what? It's good. I think for the longest time, self-awareness and God-awareness couldn't coexist.
That's great, yes.
But they can. Like, learning about ourselves is
can.
Learning about God in us and learning how He made us.
Yeah.
So if I can see it through that and go, oh man, I know why I'm annoying when I do that to Chris, or I know why they tune out when I do that.
Yeah.
It's helpful, you know, but it doesn't take the place.
So I tell people, I like it for spiritual growth, and I think it is incredibly helpful. I'm much more drawn to the interpersonal dynamics of it, like what it has to do with marriage and friendships.
It really does help. Like, I have so much more grace, which I should have had anyway, but I get why you did that. I get why you do that. And I can step back and go, I'm not going to get worked up at all because I know where it's coming from, and you're not trying to do it to make me mad. This is just how you tick. Right. And it's helpful.
Super helpful.
Well, I think that we're somewhat conditioned in our culture to think that what you just said, those things aren't spiritual things, but it's like, no, they are.
Yeah.
They're all connected.
Yeah.
And that's why
everything is spiritual,
That's why if one thing is off, then all of a sudden everything gets off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The thing that's I think that one of the hardest parts about it is because I think it is so effective and it's so helpful and it's so illuminating. Yeah. For me, and I think a lot of people in our faith, anything that's so quickly effective is so you're just so drawn to it, and so I have to be careful sometimes because it's like, well, I just know that's going to work immediately.
Sure, this is a quick fix.
Sometimes God isn't working at the speed I want him to, so I'll go to this thing for the quick fix that'll inform whatever that insecurity I have and make me feel better. Yeah. And I've had to really realize, like, that's the dangerous part of any of these things. Yeah. Is you sort of get into that, like, well, I know I could pray and read my Bible, but man, if I just read this little article on my number, that's going to make me feel better because I know why I did that. Okay, all right, I feel better. Or why am I struggling with this? Oh, I'm struggling with it because
it can almost elevate your.
That's exactly.
You're elevating your inner self.
That's
you're
exactly
like, this is why I do the things, and I'm great because I figured this all out about myself. Yeah.
That's where it gets tricky, but I do love it. I mean, I'm a huge fan of it, and I think how much it has helped me in my life is absurd. I mean, in incredible amounts. So I've really enjoyed it, and I'm still super fascinated with it. I listen to podcasts and read about it all the time, but I've had to be careful with it not turning into like
Yeah. The be all and all.
Yeah.
Anytime you're only reading through one lens, it's just scary.
Yeah, tricky.
Yeah.
But
so when you met your wife, were you?
Let's check the. When you met your wife.
You said something definitive.
We're good.
Sometimes it'll show this little like. Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
This little it's like it's not a battery, but it's like something that's like your camera's about to explode.
Oh yeah.
We're really professional podcasters.
This camera will self-destruct. So your wife.
What was I going to ask you? Oh, yeah. So when you met, were you traveling? Were you like an on-the-road musician? Did she marry someone who was always on the road?
Always on the road. We met kind of right at. I've been doing it 2 years professionally, and so it was just really beginning to ramp up.
Okay. When is this? Like early
2000. This is 2004.
So life looked like being married, traveling like 75% of the time.
So I'm kind of an oddity in our world because I've always really protected my home time.
Okay.
Even when I was the busiest, I was still probably half as busy as most of my friends were.
Like you could have said yes to a lot more.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's one of the things on my epitaph is going to be he could have been busier, which is 3. You're like, why don't you do it? Work, man, work. But
you're right.
I've just always been really protective of that, and so I think I've never been the guy that's like gone.
Yeah.
And that was a big deal to me. So I was busy. I mean, I think my busiest years were like 100 gigs, 100.
Do you think that's because, like, does the songwriting part fuel you as much as the performing part?
Much more.
Okay, so then I get that, too.
Much more. Mm-hmm.
So then, okay, I'm not asking, like, to be annoying, because you've probably told this story a bazillion times, but... Like your big song that Blake Shelton ended up covering, that was your song. Mm-hmm. Like God Gave Me You was your song.
Yeah.
You wrote it.
Yeah.
Was it like on the radio? Like how did this go down? How does Blake go? I
love
that
song. It's crazy. I love telling the story. It's funny you say that because I actually love telling the story.
Okay, great. Because I want to hear it from you.
Well, it's such a God thing. That's why I like it. To me, like the glory, God gets glory in the story. It's not like I sat after watching a movie one night. It's none of that. It's anyway. So
you didn't orchestrate anything about it.
Yeah. I was like, I watched it. I was as much a crowd member for that story as anybody. I was like, whoa, like I wasn't up there like, oh, you think this is good? Wait till the elephant comes out. That was juggling. I was
just like, God gave me the elephant.
Oh my gosh, that was the first title. But it hurt my wife's feelings. So, so I wrote the song. The coolest part of it that you guys will know really well. I'll get there in a second. I wrote the song. I was going through this season of my career where I was just really frustrated, like really sad. I'll use counselor words. Really sad. Discouraged.
Be emotional.
Felt like don't you. What is frustrated? It doesn't mean anything. It's a hiding word for another word hiding behind it. I just made that up. Just added that. No, but so I just felt like it wasn't working. I was like, it just feels like it's not. Things aren't working like I wanted to. So, I felt this really clear word from the Lord, like, just pray for encouragement. Not anything more than that. Like, it wasn't one of these things where it was like, and this, just literally pray that word, just that I could use some encouragement. So anyway.
Okay, wait. So is that more like a sense for you? Is it like...
Yeah, just a
sense. It's just a sense of that word. You feel like Holy Spirit just keeps bringing you to that word.
Yeah.
Okay.
But in Hebrew. Because I'm spiritual. No. So...
He gave you...
Yeah. But so...
Dove land on the shoulder.
Encouragement.
But anyway, so I started praying for that, and that song, you guys know how these stories go. That song, I'd finished the record. All of a sudden, I wrote this song. I call Ed Cash, who I've done a bunch of records with, and I said, hey, I got this one more song. I'm going to send it to you.
It's the last song you
the record was done. Like, we were about to go to mix. And he calls me back. He's like, hey, be at the studio at 10 a.m. tomorrow. He's like, the band's all booked. I was like, so is that a yes on that song? Or, so sure enough, I get there, we record the song. And the whole story, I mean, it's a lot of stuff about it. But anyway, he took it pop, because I was on the road. So he had the tracks, and I was out playing.
So you record this like voice note, send it to him.
Yeah. And but I was home for that little section, then I left. So he was like, we got the vocals on and stuff, and then I disappeared. And so then he would send me like the first, like, here's what I did with it. And I was like, nope, no. Like I had to, and I was like, nope, sounds too poppy. I'm like a singer-songwriter. And he's like, and he and my manager in both of my ears, like, I think we could have something here, but you may have to get out of the way of it, basically. And so there were so many times the Lord sort of intervened in the story, but one of them was, I felt like the Lord said, hey, you can't pray for encouragement and then start to qualify the encouragement. And I was like,
dang.
Okay. So I literally was like, okay, let's do that version. Yeah. And it wasn't I didn't like it. You
but
get
it's your baby, and it's like,
that's not the sound that we go for.
No,
this is
totally.
not what the outcome is.
You really do sort of have to have other people to speak and go.
You do.
Yeah.
You do.
I think there's something here.
You could say that for the rest of the podcast. I
Yeah.
mean, that would be an effective podcast because that is the truth. Like, you need people around you to do that. Whatever.
Was it always called God Gave Me You?
Yeah, it was always called that. So got done. Ed sends that. I approve it. Like a month later, Chris DeTrey, my manager, calls and he goes, hey, dude, I just got the most random phone call. There's a guy in town who's a big independent radio promoter, Chris Hauser, who heard it and said this is a Christian hit. And I was like, nope, I don't do Christian music. I never have.
Yeah.
No, thank you. And I mean, Dave. And I was like, okay, let's see what he has to say.
Yeah.
And so we meet with him, and he's wonderful. Y'all know Chris. He's the best. And he was like, I really think this could be a Christian hit. And I was like, okay, let's try it. And again, like, God was all over me because I'm like all this, like, my career was this wonderful, and thank the Lord still is, but it was like a foot in both worlds. Like I would do churches and stuff, but I was doing tons of clubs and colleges and bars and that stuff, and that was really hard to maintain. And so I thought, if I do this, I'm done. Like the thing's gonna topple in, and then
people
it's
are
quicksand,
like,
and I'm gone. Not that I didn't love it, and not that I didn't have tons of friends that did it and whatever. And I had other songs I wrote for other people in Christian radio, but it was just, that was not my vision for what I did.
Right.
And so, sure enough, we start going to radio with it. It really does well, and it ends up, that was a massive blessing. Like, I had so much fun going to these Christian radio stations. I had so much frustration in the mainstream world with AAA. People didn't care. It was so hard getting anybody excited, and it felt like the opposite. Like, I would show up and they would have banners up, and I think a lot of it was because so many people knew me in that world and didn't know that I would ever enter it. And so when I showed up at the radio stations, they were like, oh, we've waited for this day that you would come, you'd have a Christian song because we love your music. And so it was this huge encouragement. Yeah. I mean, who knew?
There it is again, right?
So that season, long story short, that season for me was just like this really life-giving season. Like, I loved doing the radio stuff. I loved being a part of that world.
Yeah.
That's cool.
It was amazing. So the irony is, Blake is driving home one night from a show from Dallas to Oklahoma and has the radio on. It's late at night, and the song comes on, my version, on a Christian radio station. So he hears it, and he's like, what is this Christian radio station? Why am I listening to Christian radio station? But he loves it. Pulls the car over, downloads the song from iTunes.
No way.
50 times on the way home, whatever. Gets home, calls Miranda, who he's dating at the time, Lambert, and says, I found our song. This is our song. You gotta listen to it. She loves it. She's like, oh my gosh, this is like how I feel, whatever. So I get a call. One of my best friends, who's married to Dave Haywood of Lady A, Kelly, this before they got married, worked at Warner Brothers. And she calls and says, hey, this is so random. Blake has heard your song, and I think it's going to be in their wedding. And I'm literally so out of context. I'm like, Blake who? And she's like, Shelton. I'm like, oh. And this is like right before The Voice. He's just boarded the rocket to the moon. It's not to the moon, but it's like he's starting to really kind of. So I'm like, that's awesome. How in the world did he hear that song? And she's like, Christian radio. Which I'm like, the Lord's like, I tell great stories. So we, so I'm like, oh, that's great to be in the wedding. And so he may want you to come play it, just whatever. So she calls back and she's like, they're not going to do it in the wedding, but I think he's going to record it. And I was like, oh, that's great, So then they threw this little surprise party for me where she announced that it was the single, which was this amazing, blessing. And then it...
Not just on the record. This is the single.
Yeah, it's the single, yeah. And so it was a huge, it was just such a crazy season of God answering. And so the humor was like, I got up at the radio thing at the Christian, I forget what they call it, but where all the radio programs are, and I got so emotional on the mic. This is before Blake.
Wow.
And I just said, guys, I prayed this prayer, and you guys were the answer to this prayer.
Wow.
Like, thank you for letting me into the world. I know I'm not an occupant, but it's just meant so much to me that you guys have been so hospitable.
Wow.
And so I was like, oh, God, high five. And he's like,
wow.
Now we go to second gear. So, it's such a cool story, and it's still such a blessing. Like, it was just actually on The Voice last week. These two contestants did like a battle round. And I was sitting in the
It's
living
not
room.
lost on you.
Oh, no. I mean, I'm like goosebumps, and I'm like, this is crazy. Like, I sat in a room and wrote this song, and now, so it's the best. It's such a blessing.
Do you want to double check it's still going? Because if you missed
people are still listening to it all the time. It's
oh well, now that you did that, then I will. Yeah.
I'm just like, if we missed any of that, I'm gonna be really mad.
What are you trying to say? Oh yeah, you got it.
Okay.
We do.
Yes. Okay. Good. Sorry, babe. I'm so paranoid about missing it now.
That's fine. I'll just have to remember.
So is it the kind of thing where...
I haven't actually edited any of these yet.
Oh my gosh.
I just like throw them on and it's like, oh yeah, maybe we better check that part.
Yeah. Where did I go? Oh yeah, I was checking the camera.
Is it the kind of thing where are you welcomed into a community that you weren't welcomed into before? Even like, so now you're writing country songs. You're writing Christian songs. Are you just kind of able to like, I mean, Carrie Underwood, didn't you get a cut? I mean, so you're just kind of like going for it.
Yeah.
And succeeding.
Yeah, it's been...
in this country writing world.
Yeah.
In such a big way.
Yeah, it's really fun. I love writing songs. I mean,
Yeah.
it's my favorite thing to do.
Yeah.
More than stand-up, more than performing. I love doing both those things, but there's something about the creation of a song that is just so electric and, you know. And so...
I think it's kind of amazing, though, that you wrote that song not for anyone.
Yeah.
It was probably just a personal thing,
Yeah.
and then to have such a massive connect, like that's, I've never had anything like that
you know,
happen.
so I played this private thing here in Nashville last night, and this guy comes over and he says, "Hey, I know you get this all the time, but like, you know, I heard this song and I was in the car and I had to pull over because I was crying so hard." And I'm like, he's like, "I know." I mean, and I was like, "No, one, you can tell me that story every time you see me, and it's gonna make me tear up. But two, like, I'm like, isn't that crazy? Like, I mean, you guys know that. Like, you write these songs, and then just they go out in the world and they have these lives that you just sort of sit and watch, you know, and you're like, I didn't mean for it to do that. I'm glad it did, but it's not like, well, I was sitting there like, there's the chord. I can feel it. Yeah. Yes. You know.
I mean, I don't know if this is actually in scripture. I'll preface it.
That's a fun intro.
Yeah, but the story is real, time and time again, that our gift is not for us. And I'll never forget the time I really got that, like when I really felt the Lord say, like, your gift is not for you. And it actually is. I'm realizing where it is in scripture. It's to save many souls. I think it's what he told Moses. And it's just like, I remember reading it and it hitting me over the head, like a ton of bricks. Because when I was 15, 16, 17, singing into my hairbrush and like praying to be on a big stage one day, you know, I really did think my gift was for me. Yeah. I did. I didn't. I knew it was bigger than me because that's how I met the Lord originally, when I was just little and could sense something so much bigger than me when I sang. Like, that's what drew me to the Lord and to doing this. So I got that, but I was still so self-driven and motivated to achieve, and like I am on my worst days now still, but like that's all it was about. And realizing that our gifts are for other people, for the Lord to use in other people's lives, is mind-blowing.
And I think like that last night to me was such a I got in the car and I just sat, because I'm writing my new album right now, and I write like 99% of myself by myself, sorry. And so, you know, I just sat in the car and I was like, man, I just forget that. I forget, because
you're just doing it at home.
Well, and two, because you know, you're your own standard. So you're not going like, I'm not going on my worst days. I'm sitting there going, is this cool enough? Like, is this something my friends are going to dig and I'm going to dig? I'm not going like, hey, Lord, would you help here? Like, what is it you want to say?
Yeah.
Let me be a vessel for whatever. And I think, like, hearing the guys tell that story last night, I just was like, I am doing this wrong. You know,
right.
That's not what I'm going. I'm going to, like, our friends, I'm like, get this out. You know, like, because I think you're going to get, you know, I think that's what's scary about our occupation and all of us. Like, you're going to get the praise of man, the praise, you know, of the Lord. And I think, like, that is tough. And especially the older I get, kind of the conversation we started with is like, you know, I think the insecurity in me is just desperately trying to prove that I'm still relevant, that my creativity still matters. And I think that's a really dangerous place for me to create out of, because then, you know, I'm not doing, you know, I'm not necessarily like trying to do what the Lord has put in me. I'm trying to like justify all the insecurity that I have. And so that's a dangerous place to try to create something out of. And so I feel like I'm still having to learn that, and God is still trying to, you know, like this whole week I have to write for myself, and I'm trying to get these songs finished. And, you know, I had to sit down every morning this week because it was not happening. Like, I was on this kick where I wrote all these songs, and it was like, yes, they're happening. And then all of a sudden, Monday I sat down, I was like, you know, it just felt like every idea I had was terrible.
Yeah.
And I was like, I knew it. It's gone. I knew it.
It's gone.
What day is it? Okay, October the 24th. It's gone. This is what I lost it. And I just had to pray every morning. I was like, Lord, I'm doing that thing where I think I am what I make. And that is, you have get that out of my system.
Yeah.
And just help me to be free so I can create.
Is that how you get out of it? You just kind of admit it with the Lord?
I don't know. I'm trying.
Yeah,
I can't.
Right.
But I think I'm finally at that place.
But I think that's huge.
Yeah.
I think admitting it to ourselves and the Lord is so underestimated.
Yeah.
I think, like, for me anyway, I grew up where I wasn't even honest when I prayed.
Yeah.
Dear Lord, please help. It was like a stressed out prayer
Yeah.
where I was still trying to control everything.
Yeah.
But actually coming to a place of like admitting something and just putting it out there like that, I think that's huge.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's like a trash dump. You know?
Yeah.
Like there's too much stuff in my hard drive.
Yeah.
And dump most of it, and then now there's space again.
Yeah.
That's true too. That's really true. So for every songwriter out there that's wondering how you can just sit down and write a song, like, where does inspiration come from for you? Obviously it doesn't work every day.
Yeah.
You don't feel like every day you write a hit song.
Yeah.
And do you know when you write a hit song?
Those are two really good questions.
I sure don't. So help me.
You know, I think
we're getting to my questions now?
Yeah. So I will tell you this. I think there are two ways that I think you can define hit.
Sure.
Right? So there's like radio hit. There's like, you sing it, by the second time you're singing the chorus, you see people like, you're like, it's catchy, it's memorable, it's
they grab
it's got
onto
all
it
the
fast.
sugar it needs to like
Yeah.
get people singing at the same time. And that's a combination, as you guys know really well, of a million things.
Yeah.
The drums feel right when the chorus hits, so whatever, you know, that's so much magic, you know, like Pixie does.
So radio hit.
Yeah, so radio hit. And then I think there's an emotional, heartfelt hit. There's the songs that connect on a real heart level, where you go, that's not going to be a song that people at the show are going to like, sing it again, but it's going to have an emotional impact.
And it's that moment in the show.
It's the moment. Or it's the moment on the record, or it's the moment in the round, whatever.
Totally.
And I think that's always, it's hard to delineate those two things sometimes, because it's like, it's really rare they're both, you know. And I think I'm really fortunate because randomly God gave me you somehow was both, which is like a lightning strike.
Super rare.
But trying to replicate that is just a fool's errand. And so I think like, and I'll say this too, I think that's the thing that's so tricky with radio hits is there's a million. You guys have probably written 500 of them. Like, I think it's just that time coalesces in a way, and the right radio guy picks ones that you know, like, I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've sat in a round and heard somebody play a song and I go, that is a monster smash. What is that song? Oh, that was on my first album. It was like the 9th track. And then on the 5th album, I'm like, so that wasn't, like, no. And then they play what's the hit, and I'm like, and they're like, that was a 900 week number one internationally. And I'm like, that song?
Right.
Not that it's bad, but like I didn't connect with that. So, but the right people and the right moment in time and the sort of all those little weird things happened at that one song and becomes a thing. And so I think it's always hard, I think, for us in our world to as writers to know that, because you can write something that is a hit and you know it and just it doesn't work that way, or the song,
because to be a hit people have to receive it like that, I guess.
And I think in our world too, just the industry part of it has to go up the thing, and everybody that's their little part of the ladder has to push it up to the next thing, and that sometimes, a lot of times, has so little to do with the actual song.
Yeah,
right. It has to do with the powers that be that say this is it, and people are like, I haven't heard it yet, but this is my okay, good. And all of a sudden, so it's all those things.
It's the minions.
It's the minions. Yeah. And so I think I have to be careful when I sort of feel like, why aren't these songs? Why aren't these hits, or why are they whatever? And it's like, because who knows? I mean, that's like every now and then you hear a song that everybody goes, yeah, it's a hit. And everybody's like, yeah, it's a hit. Yeah. It's just a hit. You hear it. Yeah. But the rest of the time, it's like, I don't know. We can make that a hit.
Yeah.
Sure. You get the right people.
We can make that a hit.
Yeah.
I feel like there's certain... Do you ever listen to And the Writer Is?
Oh, yeah.
The podcast?
I love that podcast.
I love it too. And like you listen to Ryan Tedder talk and you're like, I think that dude actually does have sort of like an inner formula. He's got it dialed in, and not in a negative way. It's amazing. Yeah. I don't operate like that really, but he's got it sort of figured out, and the proof is in the pudding. I mean, like there's a track record there. Yeah. But I remember
once you've had like 20 number ones, then
you start to go,
exactly.
So, but here's the thing. I think this is what's so fascinating about that, like the writing part of what we do, is everybody has been given, I really believe this, that does what we do. They've been given a like a barometer, right? That's very different. So Tedder, and Ryan's a really good friend of mine. Ryan has, God, when he made Ryan Tedder, went, you're going to have this the algorithm, so that when you put your little stuff through it, you not only know what is culturally rememberable or like singable, but you can do it. So you're not only a taste tester, you're a taste maker. So, and that's just the way I made Ryan Tedder.
Yeah, Ryan Tedder is a freak of nature.
Yeah.
And he's never coming on this podcast. But you're right, there are certain things I feel like that are influencing the way people dream right now. Like when I was in line to meet my favorite artists, the questions were different. Yeah. It wasn't like, so I made this video and I put it up on Instagram and it got a ton of hits. So like, I'm basically famous, but like, how do it's just so different now. Yeah. Like when I was dreaming off watching my mom like do aerobics to the Amy Grant vinyl record. And it's like, it was just so different, and I just feel like people don't maybe understand that like living the dream means like turning it into reality and knowing what you have to offer. Yeah. And somehow making those all fit together.
Yeah. Well, I think so many of the things that we all love that inspired us in music to do what we do weren't because they were derivatives. Right. It's because they were original. And I think that's what I have to keep.
That's so true.
Well, I was halfway through making my last record, and I had all these songs and they were really hooky and cool and whatever. And I listened to this Billy Joel podcast with Alec Baldwin, and he didn't even say anything profound. I mean, he did, but not to what I'm going with this. And I remember getting done with that podcast, and I was like, do you know why I like Billy Joel? Is because he's Billy Joel. Yeah. Not because he wrote songs that
sound like Billy
Joel. I was like, and in fact, so many of his songs, if you sat down and put on a grid to your hit point, you'd be like, no, that you changed keys 90 times. Right. The bridge is in a different tempo. Yeah. No. But it's a monster hit. And it doesn't matter that it's a hit. It matters that it resonated, people liked it, and that he was being authentic to himself. Yeah. And so I think for all of us, I think that's the temptation for me is to try to, and so I scrapped half the record. I literally just got rid of the songs and went, me. I'm going to win or lose being myself.
So have you ever had the Billy Joel experience when you're eating at a restaurant and then the restaurant manager puts your song on?
Oh my gosh. That,
I read that about him once, and he's like, like he went to like the furthest away place that he could go to go on vacation, sits down to eat with his wife.
Oh yeah. In the middle of the night.
Yeah, and all of a sudden it's like,
I love you. Nobody knows. In the
Yep.
You're like, I saw a country music. I'll never forget this. Leave a place because of that.
Really?
Yeah, this was like a decade ago, and I was like, oh, that's so and so, and I think the guy, sweet manager, was like, oh. And literally he was like, just got up and left. I was like, oh, that ain't good. And the manager was like, it was what happened? Yeah, see ya.
Oh man, no, you're so right. What we attach, I guess what I'm like struggling with is because I look in the eyes of like these sweet girls that are looking for the recipe to success, or like, how did you write that song? How did you do what you do? How do I do what you do? And it's like, you can't. Like, you just have to do you, and it's going to be a process, and I hope that it is.
Yeah.
Because if what you just threw out into the world and aren't even ready to steward is what's going to be the jump-off point, that's also scary. Like, it took us a long time. It's still taking us a long time. We've not been a quick anything. You know what I mean?
But even the most successful artists, every story is different.
Yeah.
I mean, Britney's story is different than Christina's, is different than Katie's, is different than Rihanna's. Like, they're all, like, you could not replicate any one of those stories.
But we attach value to what we see. Like, we affirm what we see.
Yeah.
So it's like, I think people are just craving, like, in this world of getting famous on social media, like, I think people equate, I'm famous because I have this many hits on this, and that matters. But it's like, what is that really putting into the world?
Well, I think, too, like, the thing that, it's like if you could travel back in time and say, I wish yourself from 20 years ago could come talk to yourself now. With with a lot of those things. You just said this. What you have your first success with is what you will be known for. And then you have to steward, replicate, however you want to say it. And so I think the thing that's so great about being yourself, well, I'll say the hard part. The hard part about being yourself is that it ends at a point. Like, we're all just what we are to a point, then that's all you can do. Like, you can only write this kind of song or these kinds of songs. You've only got this verbiage, language, melodies that you have. So that's the hard part, is that you may, and I've had to die this death a lot in the co-writing worlds, because you get in the room with these people and they're just magicians. They're doing this stuff and you're like, what do you do? Where is this coming from? Like, I don't know. Like,
totally. You're
and
just
you
like,
just
I'm just going to go crawl in a hole.
Yeah, I can't do that. I can't do any of it. I don't even know where you're getting that from. So it's not even like, oh, okay. I know that trick. I'm like, so, I'm having to die these deaths and go, okay, well, I can't. And
that's not what I've been given.
I don't get, but I think the good part of it is if it works, if that is what God's plan for your life is, you can replicate it because it is you. It's authentic to you, and that's still hard. It still takes a ton of craftsmanship and stewardship, but you can do it. Yeah. That's how God made you to do it. And so I think that's the thing with so many people that are beginning, I think, this stuff. I always try to encourage them, like, I know what you're going to want to do because I do it. You're going to see the stuff you like, and you're going to go, that's what I want to replicate. And you should. That is how we all create.
Yep.
But
totally,
you've got to do it in the way that you've been made to do it, that you can continue. Because if you don't, the worst thing in the world is, one, you do something that's successful, and then you can't do it again. And you drive yourself crazy, or you make something successful, and you don't want to do it again. And so I think, like, trying to figure out how to... So much of it is just being authentic to who God made us. And it's the hardest death we ever die. Because it means we can't be God. It means we can't be John Mayer. It means we can't be Ryan Tedder. We can't be Adele. But you knew that from looking in the mirror. So start there and realize, like, I'm a finite being that has weaknesses and strengths. And I may be a toe on this body of Christ. But if I'm made to be a toe, the more I become a toe, the more joyful I am. And that's the constant death in Christendom that is so hard for me and all of us to do, is to realize whatever that thing is that God made us to do, we're going to be the happiest doing that.
Yeah, it's so true.
But it's not
so true.
The other thing. And so I think
it may not even be what you want.
Yeah, that's right.
Most of the time.
That's right.
But
so we're going to get together and we're going to write a song called I Am a Toe.
I am a toe.
I am a toe.
I actually was going to ask you that. Can we write a song right here, right now?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man. Thanks. That's good. With that, we'll wrap this up.
Jody was gonna say something totally profound.
No, I was gonna say
spirit-filled, and I am a toe.
No, I was just gonna. It just hit me that we can fake it okay like this with our filters and like putting this up. This is my little thing. I can be who I want to be. When you get up on stage, there is you carry with you a different anointing when you're not just copying. When you've lived it, when you've lived your song that you've written, there's just weight to it. And that, I think, is what changes stuff for Kingdom. Like, that's what does Kingdom work. So I feel like if we're after Kingdom work, like we really say we are, then that trumps everything else for me. It has to. Like, even if it's not a hit, it's like if that is what is moving and shifting the atmosphere, because I didn't just write that, but I lived it, and now there's a weight to it, and there's testimony, and that's how God is going to move in that show, then that's...
I'll tell you too, something that God really showed me with all of that a couple years ago, because one of the hard things for me transitioning into the co-writing world, especially in the country world, most of my friends are really successful in it, who I've just known a long time. That's not why we're friends, but I just know them in town, and they've always been my friend, and now they're just, they're doing really well. And really struggling with that, feeling like, should I be doing that well? And is that sort of the new thing I've been issued? Is like, well, now that you're spending time in the country world, you better have success. And I realized something that I thought God really communicated clearly to me was like, and this is biblical, like, he's never going to give us more than we can bear. And I think success, the version of success in that is, I don't know what God is keeping from me that's keeping me alive. And I think so many times I go, Lord, if you will just give me that thing, it's right there. Like, if I can just get my hands to it, I can grab it. And he's like, so here's what you see.
Yeah.
You see like, another, and then you get here's what I see that kills you.
Yeah.
So, do you trust me in my providence for your life? Because I made you, and I know your backbone, and it can't handle that thing. I know you think it can, but I made you. So, you can either see as what you're not getting as me withholding it, or you can see me withholding the death, what will kill you,
really
or your
protecting
soul.
and providing.
Protecting you.
Yeah.
And so I think for me, I've had to realize provision, the withholding of things is as provisional as the giving of them. And I think that's been like, but that's really hard. And I think when you're living in the lack of what you feel like is the lack of, that's a tough, as opposed to going.
Yeah. And I think that's pretty good wisdom from a toe.
Hey,
well, I mean, I wish that we could come on your podcast, but I'm not a dad. Maybe Chris can fly solo, but I think that's so cool that you're doing that podcast, because a lot of dads don't talk. So maybe this will be really good.
Yeah.
It's important. Fun. Yeah. It's good.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
I never know how to end. We don't have an ending. Do you have like a way you end every time?
You know what we've found? We do 2 questions.
I wanted to do. That's what we've always said. We're like, we need a question, but here's the problem.
False ending.
No, the problem is I haven't landed on what I feel like is the right question to end with. And until I do, it's not. It feels weird.
Well, the cheat that we have too is because it's a dad-centric podcast. We got, we've got angles for it. So it's like, it's not just like, I mean, I wouldn't even know where to start if it was just sitting down talking. Like, what's your favorite cookie?
Yeah.
Do you still like baking? If you could meet Abraham Lincoln, I don't know. Like, what would you ask him? So ours feels like cheating because it's
Where'd you get that hat?
Yeah. Did you know you're gonna die? No, so I mean, ours kind of feels like cheating because we have, we have
that's
a road.
good. I need to spend a bit more time. It sounds so weird, but I always love asking people what, like, when you say I love God, like, what does that even mean? What is God to you? How do you?
That's really good.
But that's so heavy and so deep. So I realized when I have asked that, it's led to a whole nother podcast. So I'm like, that's not a real closing thing to do.
Yeah, but that's a great question. I mean, it's
really let us down some. Because to have to put words to it, I mean, I know God is undefinable, but there are definable things about my relationship with him. And I love hearing from people just, like when you're praying, like to God, what is that? Who are you praying to? What does that look like? So, but anyway, that's not really a closer, and
but that's a podcast in itself. I feel like just start with that. Mm-hmm. Like you have the one question podcast, and then that thing just sparkles into a million little diamonds.
The one question podcast. Thanks, Dave. All right.
And that's when they became billionaires. Oprah, tell me about the one question podcast.
So no joke, that's like my dream though, is to be on Super Soul Sunday.
I need to listen to that.
I want to be on it so bad.
I need to listen to that. You know, she was born where I grew up.
Really?
That's the one. So this was like my favorite thing forever. If you get on the Wikipedia for that small town in Mississippi.
Oh, that's what.
Notable residents was Oprah than me.
That's awesome.
And at one point I jumped her.
I love it.
Yeah.
I know. I love Super Soul Sunday. It's refreshing. It's like Richard Rohr, and it's like it's just all over the shop.
Yeah.
But it's cool to pick out that truth and go, well, there was truth there. Mm-hmm. So let's take that. And anyway, thanks for coming on. No.
I saw that. You changed really quickly. You sort of burst. And we have
too many like